Opening remarks from External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar and the Afghan Taliban Foreign Minister Amir Khan Muttaqi. Afghan Taliban Foreign Minister Muttaqi is in India for a week of talks. It is the Taliban's highest level in terms of talks with India since seizing power in the year 2021. The focus, of course, is on diplomatic trade and economic ties. The visit is being seen as a ramping up of India's Afghan policy, a meeting that Pakistan will be watching closely. You had Muttaqi there speaking as part of the opening remarks after External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar. Remember, India has a lot of investments in Afghanistan that they want to keep safe. And of course, this is also India's strategic power play at play safeguarding the over $3 billion investment in Afghanistan and ensuring that the Afghan soil is not used for anti-India terror. In those opening remarks, even the Taliban representative talks about how important India is as a country to the Taliban and to Afghanistan. Also, remember, India sees this area as a counter to Chinese influence through BRI and other reasons as well, why India finds Afghanistan to be a strategic country in terms of relations. Now, let's also just tell you why Afghanistan matters. It matters because of the crucial regional power balance that India needs to maintain in the region. It's a strategic location key hub for global interests and acts as India's vital gateway to Central Asia as well. That meeting underway now, opening remarks done. You heard from S. Jaishankar and the Afghan Foreign Minister there. Taliban Foreign Minister Muttaqi. He is in India for a week of talks. This is, like I said, Taliban's highest level visit to India since seizing power a couple of years back in the year 2021. The focus is on diplomatic trade and economic ties. And this visit is being seen as a ramping up of India's Afghan policy, a meeting that Pakistan, of course, will be watching very closely at this point. Vishal now joins me live. Vishal, this is a rare moment really captured on camera. Till a few years back, you wouldn't have anticipated a meeting like this between an Afghan Taliban representative and Indian officials.
Yes, this is huge, and the statement that the Afghanistan acting foreign minister has just said that they won't allow Afghan soil to, flourish anti-India activities. That is a huge statement coming from the Afghanistan dispensation, and it's not surprising also because Afghanistan and India have had, big relations, solid relations in the past that seem to be hampered by this Pakistan in the middle, because Pakistan has been trying to interfere in the relationship between India and Pakistan and has been successful to some extent. But now that stage has ended. Now Afghanistan and India have both decided to join hands, establish a new partnership. That statement itself signifies a big moment, because the fact that Afghan Taliban is now saying that it won't allow Pakistan, an old ally of Taliban, to do some anti-India activities on its soil. That is a big statement, because Taliban itself was founded by the help of ISI, Pak Army. One of the biggest officers of the Pak Army was one of the founding members of Taliban. So this is a significant turning point in the relationship between India and Afghanistan. So we'll have to see what happens now, because we have seen in the last 48 hours or so, there have been some strikes inside Afghan soil from the Pakistani Air Force. We've had reports coming in saying that there has been considerable damage, but we've not heard about the death count. What happens on that front, all of that will have to be seen.
Vishal, do stay with me. I have Vishnu Som also joining me on the phone line. Vishnu, some important statements being made there by the Afghan representative. You have Muttaqi going ahead and saying that Afghanistan will not be allowed for any anti-India activity.
I think there are a couple of very important parts over here. India has a technical mission in Kabul that has been re-upgraded to the status of Embassy of India. In other words, full diplomatic relations between India and Afghanistan have been restored. And very significantly, in this visit of the Afghan Foreign Minister to New Delhi, his first visit to this country as Foreign Minister, India has expressed, and I quote, a common commitment towards growth and prosperity. However, we are endangered by the shared threat of cross-border terrorism that both our nations face. We must coordinate efforts to combat terrorism in all its forms and manifestations. We appreciate your sensitivity towards India's security concerns. Your solidarity with us in the aftermath of the Pahalgam terrorist attack was noteworthy. This is geopolitically an extremely significant step. Remember, Afghanistan faces concerns from Pakistan. India faces threats in fact, from Pakistan. Therefore, there is a common concern over terrorism. This has been highlighted by the External Affairs Minister in his meeting today with the Afghan Afghan Foreign Minister.
And a meeting that Pakistan will be watching closely, Vishnu.
I think Pakistan would see this as a very key move. The fact that we've got India reaching out to the Taliban leadership in Afghanistan, something which would have been thought to be unthinkable a couple of years back.
Yes.
New Delhi's foreign policy has been pragmatic. We've reached out to them. We are reaffirming our commitment to aid, and that's been spelled out as well. But the 2 points over here, the full restoration of diplomatic ties, number one, and number two, by stating that India has shared concerns on terrorism with Afghanistan, it certainly puts Pakistan in a pickle, if I could use that word.
This is, of course, the highest level of talks in terms of a Taliban representative to the country after seizing power in 2021. The visit is being seen as a ramping up of India's Afghan policy. If you could talk to us more about that.
Well, India, remember, was one of the countries which
Don't talk to me while I am asking a question.
India downgraded our diplomatic relations when there was when the previous regime collapsed. There was a fairly dramatic movement out of Indian Kabul, along with Indian nationals who were there. Remember, the previous government collapsed within a couple of days, very, very unexpected. But what we have seen since then is a pragmatic foreign policy. India is now looking at, and in fact, there have been additional flights between Kabul and New Delhi which have started. India is giving them more ambulances. India's greatest contribution in Afghanistan, and this is something I've personally tracked for so many years now, is humanitarian assistance. We've had a children's hospital, for example, in Kabul. We've had a lot of food supplies. We've had vaccine going. We've had education missions as well. So these are things which impact Afghans at a very basic level. So trade between Afghanistan and India is something that we've stepped up. We have moved towards talks with the Taliban regime over there. It remains to be seen whether there is 100% full recognition of the Taliban government by India in Kabul. But I would suggest that with the restoration of full diplomatic ties through the reopening of the Indian embassy, it operated in a small way, but the fact that it's now got a full status of an embassy means that you are effectively recognizing the government of Afghanistan. So that's a huge step forward.
Talk to us about the deteriorating relations between Pakistan and Afghanistan at this point, because of course it has a bearing on what we're witnessing in New Delhi as well.
Well, I think that's very, very important. Remember, the Afghan government was very quick in supporting India when the Pahalgam terror attack took place. These are remarks which would have been noticed by Pakistan very closely. Pakistan's ISI has had a close relationship with many in the Afghan government in the past. But I do believe that there are winds of change. New Delhi is consolidating our relationship. We've seen reports of Pakistani attacks far out as Kabul itself. There have been lots of fighting on the boundary or the border region between Afghanistan and Pakistan lately. It's the Durand line. It is contested in certain areas. And therefore, as a result of the tensions which presently exist between Afghanistan and Pakistan, I would suggest that a closer proximity of Kabul and New Delhi diplomatically is something which India would certainly value.
All right, Vishnu, do stay with me. I want to put that question to Ambassador Trigunayat, also who joins me on the phone line. Thank you for speaking with NDTV, sir. We're just hearing that there's going to be full restoration of diplomatic ties between India and Kabul. Your first reaction to that?
Well, I think it is formalizing the arrangement that we already have. I mean, we have a technical mission there. Embassy continued to function at a technical level, as we called it, to carry on various projects. But in the meantime, as you know, that our foreign secretary had also met, and foreign minister had twice spoken to his counterpart. Mr. Mutaki is now here, obviously, to sort out issues about the Afghan embassy here and the Indian embassy there, so that the normal relationship, without even the so-called de jure recognition, could continue to function. But de facto recognition has already been there virtually by the whole world, and of course the Russians have formally recognized the Afghan regime. So it's a matter of time by which time we'll do that. But for us, most important thing is Afghanistan remains a very, very important partner for India, a historic civilizational partner, and they have a tremendous regard for India, including the Taliban. So irrespective of the regimes that have been there, this kind of a P2P connect has always been very functional, and that is the strength of our relationship. So you will recall that when Indian embassy was about to vacate in the wake of Taliban taking over, Taliban had requested the Indians that not to go, not to leave. They will look after them. Our problem there was not Taliban per se. Our problem was essentially the ISI-linked groups as well as them who were attacking India. And as you know, today, as Foreign Minister Mutaki is in India, we are seeing that Pakistan has started attacking various places in Afghanistan as well, under the garb of, attacking TTP and all. Whereas Afghanistan government, Taliban, has clearly assured India that they will not allow any anti-India activity to take place from there. And that has been one of our major concerns. It has happened in the past, but now that they've been very clear. Their stance has also, they've been one of the first countries actually which had condemned the Pahalgam terror attacks. And they are even ready to work with us to counter terrorism wherever it is possible. So I think that there are a lot of things. India is the only country in the world basically which has helped rebuild and in the reconstruction and development of Afghanistan in the past 25 years. So I think that this is still on the crossroads of geopolitics, but at the same time, the trust in our relationship continues unabated.
Mutaki has also gone ahead and said in those opening remarks that we will not allow anti-India activity in Afghanistan, a comment which is highly significant given the deteriorating relations between Afghanistan and Pakistan at this point.
Well, that is true. I mean, this they have been saying from forever. In fact, not from now only. And this is, I'm happy that he has reiterated this. This was one thing to assure India that nothing anti-India would be allowed from the Taliban side, basically, or whatever it controls. But as you know, it's also become a playground of several terrorist groups, and therefore they also need their strength to be beefed up to fight those terrorist groups themselves. So it is something that is good for us in that sense, and I believe that relationship with Pakistan is gone to rock bottom simply because Pakistanis have tried to cultivate the extreme elements in the country and tried to destabilize. You have seen that they have not only used their cross-border terrorism against India, but also against Afghanistan, the previous government. And when Taliban came to power, they thought the Haqqani group will control completely, and that has not really happened. And therefore, now they are having to contend with TTP and several other groups.
You know, Ambassador, if I might just step in to ask you one question before I let you go. What we're seeing on our screens previously would be unimaginable in so many ways, maybe 7 to 8 years back, right? Having the government of India speaking with a representative of Afghanistan Taliban.
You see, the Taliban is also Afghan people. So what I told you that this is, of course, politically we may have difference of opinion and difference of approaches, and India is also respects the UN Security Council resolution in which was passed when India was the president in the assembly in the UNSC at the time. So it is obviously very important. But for us, the people of Afghanistan are very important. And when they are taking steps forward towards India, and we are reciprocating in the way, we have become the first major responder as far as the humanitarian assistance is concerned, which is greatly appreciated by them. So the strength of the relationship has been there as far as the country-to-country thing is concerned. Political dispensations, sometimes they change to it. So you are right. I mean, this is a good image, and Afghanistan is an important partner for us.
So thanks for speaking to NDTV.
Thank you.
Going back to Vishnu now. Vishnu, a huge number of investments also in Afghanistan for India that it needs to safeguard.
Well, as I said, India has very keen economic ties with Afghanistan. We have also been trying to, pursue lots of important infrastructure projects over the years. We've had a huge role in the construction of highways in Afghanistan. The Kalaram-Zaranj highway, for example, is one of them. That's something that India has done. We've contributed to factories in Afghanistan, trade with Afghanistan. The Chabahar port in Iran is ultimately meant to link up fully with Afghanistan and provide, a route into Afghanistan for trade. Apart from that, several smaller areas. India has been involved in aspects of the Afghan military by arming them with trucks and things like that, ambulances, education. All of these are critical, and of course, facilitating the movement of Afghan nationals to India for education and certainly for health is something that we've done. The joint agreement today, not agreement, but the statement by the External Affairs Ministry today says that and mentions that there is a visa regime in place which enables the movement of Afghan nationals to India in a more speedy manner, whether it's for medical reasons or whether it is for education reasons or other reasons. There's an additional flight which is now operating between Kabul and New Delhi as well. So this is a dramatically changed relationship, between India and Kabul. Fairly unthinkable a couple of years back when we were completely opposed to the Taliban in Afghanistan. But, it is the need of the hour. There are, as Ambassador Trigunath mentioned, strategic concerns that at one level those would factor in Pakistan as well. But the fact of the matter is that we've taken this relationship forward along the lines which I've spelled out.